Ladies and gentlemen, it is Monday, June 12th, 2017. Tonight was Monday Night Raw. You have just entered the dungeon of the Dungeon Dweller himself. My name is Pete Wall, the host of Pillar to Post. Now, before we get going into the action that was tonight, I want to give a shout out to my sponsors. I want to get this out of the way quick tonight. So, today's podcast is brought to you by Audible. Now you can get a free audiobook download and 30-day free trial at audibletrial.com/pillar2post. Now they have over 200,000 titles to choose from in any genre of your choice. And they are all for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player, or any other portable devices that you might use and can be compatible with audio type books. So, not only does this help the channel, it helps Audible and you get something free out of it. Take advantage of it, please. Okay? We're trying to build a community here. We're trying to build this channel up. So, help the channel out by clicking that link that's going to be in the description below. It is just a small thing you can do for this channel as we continue to grow and expand. Now, I've got other sponsors that I'm trying to get for this channel. I'm hoping those plans come through, but that's for another time. Now, all my links are going to be in the description below. My Teespring Store, my FB merchandise page, my FB author page, my FB account where you can send me a friend request if you choose to, my VidMe account, as well as Patreon, and my Twitter, as well as an email. So, it's all in the description below. Take advantage of those, and you know what? You might find something you like. So, tonight, the show started off great. You cannot complain when you get Paul Heyman on the microphone, unless you're my wife. She just hates his voice. But I don't give a shit about how he sounds. I give a shit about the words that come out of this guy's mouth, because he's always on the damn ball. Now, came out with Brock Lesnar tonight. This is the first time we've seen Brock Lesnar since WrestleMania. And once again, he doesn't say anything. But it did look like they took all the dust off. You know, they dusted off and shined that belt up really nice. So that way, you know, it didn't look like it was a piece of crap. Which it already does look like. But I mean, worse so, you know. So, we had them in the ring. Very good segment. Can't complain. But most of the show, it was a regular and typical Monday night. The main event sucked. Okay, I am a big Hardy Boys fan. I am a big Sheamus and Cesaro fan. And I expected a lot better. Now, the ending of the match was far better than anything that really happened during the match, because during the match was bullshit. After the match, that's where all the excitement came. Made no sense to me. That should have been at least 1 hour long. You have a 2 out of 3 falls match, and it's going to take up the last 25 minutes, and we get, 3 commercials during it? It was bullshit. Bullshit. Now, I fell asleep through part of this show, and even though I got my daughter to take down some notes for me, I am not going to cover that, because if I fell asleep through it, obviously it wasn't worthwhile covering it. Now, was it? So, let's move on to the matches. We're going to start with the in-ring segment with Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman tonight. Now, Heyman says he is here tonight to unleash the beast. It's Samoa Joe's day of reckoning, which will be determined, or be administered, I should say, by the reigning and defending Universal Champion, Brock Lesnar. Now, last week, Heyman showed Joe respect that he seemingly deserved. Joe tricked Heyman into the ring and took him out. Heyman says he could understand if he had an issue with Joe in the past. He didn't have an issue before, but he has one now. Now, Heyman thought Joe would be the worst case scenario, but Joe proved otherwise last week. There have been many Samoans in this business, but none of them want anything to do with Samoa Joe. Now, they are all related except for Joe. Heyman adds that Joe's claim to fame is that he put the Coquina Clutch on Paul Heyman. The Coquina Clutch is everything that Joe said it was. Heyman thought that what would happen if Joe put the clutch on Lesnar? What would happen to the Universal Championship? Heyman proclaims that Samoa Joe will never get the Coquina Clutch on Lesnar. Now, Joe's music hits, and this is what I was waiting for. I was hoping for a confrontation. I was kind of doubting that Monday Night Raw would actually deliver. They actually delivered at the top of the show. I appreciated it. So Joe's music hits, and Joe marches down to the ring. Straight face, stone cold as usual. I love it. Now Heyman bolts with the Universal title. Joe gets right in Lesnar's face and delivers a headbutt after a short stare down. Now, Lesnar actually takes a bump here. He falls down against the ropes. He's on his ass. Lesnar, Joe headbutts Lesnar and he lands on his ass. They trade lefts and rights. Lesnar forces Joe into the corner and shoulder blocks him over and over and over again. Kurt Angle runs out onto the ramp and sends security down to the ring. Let's see, where are we? Angle clears out the locker room. The WWE superstars separate Lesnar and Joe. Joe manages to break free and super kicks Lesnar right on the bridge of the nose. Lesnar hits the mat like a sack of shit that he is, and the superstars drag Joe out of the ring. Now Lesnar tries to continue his attack, but he is held back as we cut to our first commercial break of the night. So, like I said, perfect way to start off Monday Night Raw. Wasn't too bad. The next match, not too bad. You know, Elias Samson versus Dean Ambrose. And of course, we always get Elias Samson singing us a song. Tonight was all about Dean Ambrose. And as per usual, Ambrose interrupted Samson's song. And we go into the match from there. Now, Ambrose and Samson tussle in the corner. Neither can gain position on the other. Samson and Ambrose lock up again. Ambrose goes behind Samson and locks in a hammerlock. Now Samson elbows Ambrose in the head. Samson whips Ambrose into the ropes. Ambrose catches Samson with a flying back elbow. And Samson rolls out of the ring to collect himself. Now, we go to a commercial break again, because we have to have all these commercial breaks. It's not bad enough we get all the backstage segments, all the promos, and the shitty short matches, you know, but we got to have it. So, after the break, Samson floors Ambrose with a running clothesline for a 2 count. Samson puts Ambrose in a chin lock, and Ambrose stands up out of it and hits a back suplex. Samson and Ambrose trade chops. Ambrose takes Samson out with a running elbow, then a running forearm. Now Ambrose takes Samson over with a fisherman's suplex for a near fall. Ambrose dumps Samson over the rope and suicide dives Samson. Now Ambrose rolls Samson back into the ring and goes up top, but Samson cuts him off. He tries to set up a superplex, but Ambrose fights Samson off, and Miz and Maurice run down to ringside. Now Miz gets on the apron, and Ambrose is clearly distracted. Samson rolls up Ambrose from behind, and Ambrose kicks out. Get a rebound lariat by Ambrose, and he follows that up by chasing Miz on the outside of the ring. Now Ambrose is almost counted out as Ambrose rolls back into the ring. Samson knees him in the back of the head. Now Samson hits his reverse neck breaker for the win. Your winner, Elias Samson, due to shenanigans, once again by a very paranoid Miz. Now I'm going to take a little pause here. I got my co-host messaging me, so there wanted to call me. I gotta make sure that doesn't happen when I'm doing my podcast. I do apologize for the interruption. Now, backstage, we get a segment with Goldust, as usual. I'm starting to think this is going to lead all the way up into Great Balls of Fire before we even get to see Goldust enter the ring in singles competition. So, backstage, Goldust says that R-Truth never understood him. None of us really understood him. R-Truth was jealous of Goldust. That is why Goldust took R-Truth out before he could take Goldust out. The golden age is upon us, people. So let me see what my co-host says. And yes, he just sending me crap. Okay, so after the whole Ambrose match, after the whole Goldust little segment, we're backstage once again. And it's Miz and Maurice strutting around backstage. Angle yells at the Miz, asking him what the hell is he doing. Miz says this is all Angle's fault for being too concerned with his own personal issues. Now, Miz tells Angle he needs to both fire and suspend Ambrose. Miz noted that Maurice is still upset with him about the grandfather clock from last week. Angle says he isn't going to do a damn thing to Ambrose. Now, if Miz wants something to be done about Ambrose, he is going to have to take care of that business himself. Angle storms off. And then that leads us into another backstage segment, and it's with Noam Dar, and he's standing by the lockers. Now Cedric Alexander walks in and says that he told Dar last week after he beat him that he is done with Dar and his ratchet ex-girlfriend, Alicia Fox. Now Dar just happened to be FaceTiming Fox. Fox says she can't wait to watch Dar beat Alexander tonight. So obviously that's a segue into our first cruiserweight match of the night. And let me tell you, it was fucking stupid. This was bullshit. Okay? We wait to see improvements from the cruiserweight division. The only one that is making noise and gaining and garnering our attention is one named Neville. Why? He has everything going for him. And he makes an impact every time he's on the damn show. Why the hell can't these other guys do it? Cedric Alexander, well, he makes his way down to the ring. Dar comes down, and he's still FaceTiming that fucking batshit crazy bitch, Alicia Fox. And that is all we basically see from Noam Dar throughout this match. He's basically telling her, I gotta hang up. She's screaming at him, you can't hang up on me. I want to watch what happens. I want to watch what you're going to do. He finally puts the phone down, turns around, bam, gets nailed with Cedric Alexander's lumbar check. I guess that's what it's called. And your winner is Cedric Alexander. Nothing happened. Just one fucking move. You're done. That was all the cruiserweight, our first cruiserweight match was allotted for time. You know, one fucking move. And having to listen to that bat crap crazy bitch known as Alicia Fox. I think that's the only thing anyone likes about this bitch right now, is how Noam Dar says her last name. So, that leads into a backstage segment with Bray Wyatt. Now, Bray Wyatt says the world is ending. It's always ending when it comes to him. Now, Wyatt says he is the only one who can save us. He is here. And that leads us to an in-ring segment with one Bray Wyatt. Yes, he needed a segment in the backstage, in the locker room area, to do a segment in ring. Made a whole lot of sense to me. So Wyatt calls out Seth Rollins. Wyatt says Rollins thinks he has it all figured out. It only took a dose of Wyatt's truth last week, and Rollins' glass house came crumbling down. Now, Wyatt adds that if you take his name in vain, you will fail. Rollins' music hits, and he walks down to the ring. Now, Rollins says he has to clarify one thing. Wyatt cost Rollins his match last week because Rollins called him a few bad names. Now, when Rollins calls him a wannabe martyr, that was the truth. Rollins calls Wyatt a coward. Now, Rollins dares Wyatt to prove him wrong. Wyatt says that when Rollins looks in the mirror, he sees the man. When Wyatt looks at Rollins, he sees a man that is beneath him. Now, Rollins doesn't want this fight. Rollins may have found the will to slay a king. The light goes out and Wyatt is gone. Now, Wyatt appears back on the Titantron and says Rollins may have been able to slay a king, but he can't slay a god. Run. You know what? I do love Bray Wyatt on the mic. I do. The guy has a way of talking, you know, and it's comical at times. It is, it draws you in at times, and you know, it's entertaining as hell as always, and he does that all the time. Just this segment really didn't do it for me, you know. While he was talking, I was fine with it. It was when Rollins was introduced. I don't know. Rollins, he needs something to really step over this little hump he's going through right now. And yes, he is going through a hump, or a slump, or whatever the hell you want to call it. He's not drawing people's attention. He's not attracting and emoting any emotions when he's speaking. He's not attracting us to his speeches, his promos. It is dry. It is boring, and it would be something like you would hear on a schoolyard. Oh, you know, I upset you by calling you a couple of names. Give me a break. Now, this is where I fell asleep. Oh, where are we? Okay, no, I didn't fall asleep here. We get a backstage interview. Matt Hardy says Sheamus and Cesaro are the most daunting task they have faced. If they have to beat them twice tonight, they will. Now, they may claim they are the bar. Jeff Hardy adds that they are going to break the bar. But the next match, I fell asleep through. So Apollo Crews with Titus O'Neil versus Kalisto, and Akira Tozawa is in the crowd. But I fell asleep through it, so it wasn't that important. Obviously, it was another quick match. Apollo Crews wins the match. Let's see. Missed that part. I'm not going to go over the stuff I didn't watch. My daughter was nice. She wrote down what happened, but I'm sorry. I'm not going to comment on things I didn't see. So, the women's match is gone. Did not see it. Wasn't interested. Beauty and Man Beast. And the Man Beast, I should say. Rhino. So you got Heath Slater and Rhino versus The Miz. And a mystery partner, because he was told earlier in the night he had to find his own damn partner. Everyone refused. Well, a dancing bear, if you remembered last week's segment, the celebration and the beginning of the tour of the new Intercontinental Champion, The Miz, you would have remembered the bear that was in the ring ended up being Dean Ambrose. Well, we get another bear mascot type deal coming down to the ring, scratching his back on the post, blah, blah, blah. Now, The Miz, obviously, in his paranoid, delusional state, believes it is once again Dean Ambrose. So he's frightened, he's nervous, and he doesn't want to get close to the bear. So as Miz is confused, Slater rolls up Miz from behind for a near fall right at the start of the match. Miz retreats to his corner. Now Miz yells at the bear to follow his lead. Miz tries to get Slater to shake his hand and join him. We get a loud "We want bear" chant from the crowd. Miz tries to shake Slater's hand again and tries to deck Slater, but Slater blocks it and floors Miz with a good-looking right hand. Now Slater tags in Rhino. Rhino crushes Miz with a running shoulder block and follows that up by later hitting a belly-to-belly for another near fall. The bear tags himself in here, and the bear slaps Slater in the face. The bear locks in a bear hug, and Rhino breaks it up. The bear tags Miz in. Miz beats the bear up on the outside of the ring, and he rips the Bear's mask off, and it's just an enhancement talent, same as last week. Now the Bear rolls back into the ring. Miz is talking to Maurice, and the Bear stands up and hits Dirty Deeds on one Heath Slater. Now Maurice yells for Miz to turn around, and Maurice gets on the apron and yells at the Miz. Now Miz turns around, and the Bear is revealed to be one Dean Ambrose, as if we didn't know. Now Miz tries to run away, but he runs right into Maurice, knocking her off the apron. Ambrose hits Dirty Deeds on the Miz. Maurice gets up and walks away. Now Ambrose puts Slater on top of the Miz, and Slater gets the 3 count. Your winners, Beauty and the Man Beast. You know what? I don't mind it. It's actually giving us something different we haven't seen before from the Miz and Ambrose. So I can't really complain too much. I'm just tired of the feud already. That's my problem with it. We've seen these guys fight so long in SmackDown, and then they get both traded over to Raw, and it's back and forth again. Come on. Yes, you're adding a little bit of something else in there, a little more substance, but all in all, it's Dean and The Miz all over again, and frankly, I'm sick to death of it. Up next, Neville versus Rich Swann, another shit match, never got started. Rich Swann comes dancing to the ring as he's dancing for the fans. We get the king of the cruiserweights attacking him from behind, beats the snot out of him, quite literally, slaps on the Rings of Saturn at the end of it, and that's it. There you go. Now Neville grabs his title and a microphone after the beatdown, and Neville says Austin Aries, TJP, and now Rich Swann. Now get out of my ring, he says. Now Neville kicks Swann out of the ring, and Neville asks how many pretenders he is going to have to obliterate to get the respect he rightfully deserves. Neville says he heard what people are saying about Akira Tozawa. It will take more than a tweet from Titus O'Neil to take him down. Now Tozawa needs to tread carefully here before he is forced to bend a knee to the king of the cruiserweights. So, as always, Neville delivers on the mic. The match, I know it's not the wrestler's doing, but come on. You know, I know it's a good way to put an exclamation point on you know, your stand as the champion and saying, I'm a fucking heel. You will bow down or you will get beat down. I get that. But come on. You're not doing the cruiserweights any favor by having these short little segments and these short matches that mean nothing. Okay? It's got to end somewhere. You say you want to build the cruiserweights up and get the fans' attraction to them. How is that happening when you're doing shit like this? Makes no sense at all. You get a backstage interview with Sheamus and Cesaro. Basically, they're there to just say they are the bar. And that's about it. You know, you get the gist of it. Enzo and Cass versus Anderson and Gallows. But before the match even gets started, Cass is found laid out backstage once again. And if you were watching, you would have seen Dash Wilder and Dash and Wilder, I should say, walking in the background. Now Enzo runs in and Cass says he can still go. Enzo says this isn't a good idea. Cass is falling all over the place, but he still manages to get out to the ring. Now back in the ring, Anderson and Gallows make fun of what happened to Cass. Enzo and Cass eventually make their way out to the ring. Cass lands a few strikes to Anderson. Cass stumbling around the ring. He got blasted in the back of the head. He said he's never been hit that hard before. He can barely hold himself up. Now Cass side slams Anderson, delivers the Empire Elbow, and immediately falls into the ropes and has to use the ropes to pull himself up. Now Enzo asks Cass to tag himself in. Enzo cleans house. Enzo drop kicks Gallows off the apron. Anderson catches Enzo with a running big boot. Now Enzo tries to tag out, but Cass is still out on the floor. And Enzo goes up top, but as he dives off, Gallows kicks him in the gut. Anderson Gallows hit the Magic Killer, and they are your winners of the match. But after the match, they weren't finished. We're picking on little old Enzo. They were going for number 2, Magic Killer. Big Show's music comes out, and out comes the Big Show to make the save. Now, after he makes the saves, he helps up Enzo. And Enzo falls against him and basically hugs him and says thank you. Cass standing on the ring apron at this point, and you can clearly see the hatred he has for the Big Show and the doubt he has in Enzo's friendship. So there's some dissent building. They are building this up and building this up. We are going to see Big Cass very soon in singles match. Even though he's not quite ready, they're going to be doing it very soon. So we get another backstage segment, and it's R-Truth this time says, what we have here is a failure to communicate. If you don't know the little comment there, it's from Cool Hand Luke, which he does obviously state. Now, he won't forgive and he won't forget. He is mad as hell, and he isn't going to take it anymore. Goldust is going to get got. Yeah, I don't mind Goldust segments. I don't mind his promos. Sick and tired of seeing R-Truths. Honestly, don't want to see it anymore. Backstage, Enzo catches up with Big Show, and he asks if he was truly behind. And goes, I don't really want to ask this, but were you behind the attack on Big Cass? And Big Show's about to flip out, and then he goes, you know what? No. I know where this is coming from. This is Big Cass. And he ends up saying that your partner, Cass, is soft. And he walks away. So we get another backstage segment, and it's Samoa Joe. He's being interviewed this time, actually. And Samoa Joe says Lesnar and Heyman are falling right into his hands. Joe says in a few weeks he is going to put Lesnar in the coquina clutch, and he will put Lesnar to sleep. Joe is going to be the next Universal Champion. And finally, the main event of the night. You know what? This first part of this match, totally bullshit. About 2 minutes long, if that. Sheamus goes in for a bro kick right at the top of the match. Clearly he misses. The Hardys hit a quick poetry in motion, and the Hardys set up for the extreme combination. Cesaro pulls Matt off the apron. Jeff sets up the twist of fate. Sheamus drives Jeff into the corner. Jeff tries to leapfrog over Sheamus, but Sheamus bro kicks Jeff as he is head standing on the corner. Sheamus pins Jeff. That your first victory. It is a 2 out of 3 falls match. Your first victory goes to Cesaro and Sheamus in record time for a tag match. So, second part starts. Sheamus hits the Irish Curse backbreaker for a near fall. Jeff surprises Sheamus with a spin kick. Now Jeff tags in Matt. Matt grabs Cesaro and slams his head into all 3 turnbuckles over and over and over again. And he made this really famous back in his Broken stage in TNA. Now Tornado DDT by Matt, and Cesaro kicks out. Now Matt goes out to the apron, and Sheamus tries to cut Matt off. Matt hits the side effect on the ring apron to Sheamus. He follows that up with a twist of fate on Cesaro for the pin. So it's a tied match now. Both first and second matches or falls were very quick. Now Matt tries to pin Cesaro again, but Cesaro kicks out. Matt goes to up top, but as he dives off, Cesaro lands a European uppercut. Sheamus tags in and knees Matt in the jaw. Matt manages to kick out, and Cesaro calls for the neutralizer. Matt reverses, but Cesaro holds on and locks in the sharpshooter. Now Matt gets to the ropes to break the hold, and he manages to clothesline Cesaro afterwards. Now Matt tags in Jeff as Cesaro tags in Sheamus. Jeff hits a twist of fate on Sheamus, but Cesaro breaks the pin. Sheamus tries to shoulder block Jeff in the corner. Jeff moves out of the way as Sheamus goes shoulder first into the ring post. Jeff hits the swanton, but Cesaro pulls Sheamus to the outside. Now, a huge brawl breaks out on the outside of the ring. Both teams are eventually counted out. The Hardys and Cesaro and Sheamus continue brawling even after the bell rings. Now, your winners are proclaimed, well, it's a draw, but your champions are still Sheamus and Cesaro. But the good part about this was the ending. We've seen a good dive off the top rope, or off the top turnbuckle from Jeff Hardy to the outside. The brawl on the outside was far better than what we've seen in the entire match. Now, I know the Hardy Boys are getting older. I know they're slowing down. I know that. But if you want to compete against younger and healthier guys, you're going to have to put up a better fight than what we've seen tonight. Tonight just did not excite me at all. The beginning of the show, Samoa Joe, Brock Lesnar, Paul Heyman, perfect. The rest of the show just started going downhill, downhill, downhill. And then at the very end of the show, it picks up just ever so slightly. I can understand why your ratings are dropping. You guys need to start picking shit up here because it is getting sickening. That's it for my review tonight. It wasn't a good review in my point. The show fell flat. You started off good and then you lost steam straight through. And then you just picked up ever so slightly at the end. I call bullshit. Well, this is Pillar to Post. I'm sorry this wasn't a better review. I'm going to be honest with you. I am dead tired today. I've been a busy man. I got way too hot today in the sun. And I could have done with a better show tonight. I didn't get that show. I apologize if my review sucks. But if you enjoyed the review, I want you to do me a favor. And if you are not a subscriber yet, hit that subscribe button. Hit the little bell that gives you notifications, as well as always upvote if you are on VidMe. And hit the like button, please. Have a good night, all. I will be seeing you tomorrow for SmackDown. And hopefully, SmackDown is going into the pay-per-view in a big way. This is the go-home show tomorrow for SmackDown going into Money in the Bank. This Sunday is going to be a good pay-per-view if they do it right. I'll see you tomorrow night, people.